Everyone is calling Dreadflats the scariest game of 2025. Jacksepticeye loved it, CJ, you loved it, but after playing through the entire game myself, I need to talk about something that no one else is talking about. We need to address the elephant in the room. Dreadflats is a first-person Chinese horror game created by GhostCase. It has the player going to a murder building, their words, not mine, to uncover the truth behind several murders and missing person cases. And let me tell you, this game puts the dread into Dreadflats. Not one time in this game did I feel I was safe or allowed to breathe. This game nails its atmosphere perfectly. The environment is extremely dark. I don't know if that's because I fucked up my brightness settings or if that's actually how the game is supposed to look. Your only source of light is this dollar store flashlight that barely emits anything at all. Like, look how dark this game is, even when my flashlight's on. This game also has an insanely cool background audio track playing at all times, and it feels paranormal. Like, it sounds like the tension's constantly rising and it's not slowing down. Listen to this real fast. The audio is at the perfect volume too. It's just quiet enough to have you almost forget it's playing, but it's loud enough that your brain picks up on it and keeps you focused in the game. The gameplay is your standard run-of-the-mill horror experience. You start off in a dark alleyway, and you have to walk down to get to the murder house. Once you are in, we have to do several little goals to progress the story. Find the key, open the door, turn on the power, you know, that sort of thing that every other horror game makes you do. But this entire time you're running errands, you're not actually sure when the game starts. In my experience, a horror game will let you breathe in the beginning and slowly build up tension over time. But this feels like at any moment it's going to try and subvert that expectation and throw you a curveball. Fortunately, I actually found the pacing to be really well done in this game. After doing a bunch of chores and investigating, we get glimpses into what might have happened here. There are several Polaroids that I actually found pretty creepy, and a little girl might have been key in the disappearances. She mentions an older lady watching her and several scattered notes, and if you look closely in the Polaroids, you can see the old lady. Now with the grandma fresh in our head, it adds a layer of fear to the darkness. Now we know what our potential monster looks like, and as we explore, you just know at some point her face is going to be barely illuminated, staring at you. It's like Chekhov's gun. Like, this just has to happen. This game is fairly slow, which is a good thing. It has you ponder what you saw in those Polaroids. Each oddity or paranormal experience has you a bit more on edge as to what might be lurking further in the game. Speaking of the grandma, let's talk about the jump scares. The jump scares are coin flips in my opinion. There are some really startling ones in here that are actually really well done. And then there are some very obvious ones that really ruin the mood for me. Like, one of the first jump scares we come across in this game is this cutscene. You have a hole in the wall, and it takes away control from the player for like a long amount of time, and it's like a scripted movie shot almost, and you just know there's going to be some sort of thing that pops out from the other side of the hole. It does a pretty good job of not having a monster pop out, and it actually changes and it has a hand show up instead, so they kind of throw me off a little bit. On the other side of the spectrum, you have jump scares that are like this. I knew there would be something, but man, it actually got me good. I believe it's because I actually had control of my player during this scare, which in my opinion feels scarier because I'm not bracing for it nearly as much. So after a few run-ins with Grandma, we get to what I call the second act of the game. And in my opinion, this is where the game falls flat. we have a run-in with Grandma, and she catches us and takes us to this spirit world, I think. And Grandma looks different. Like, she looks like Withered Chica, doesn't she? I feel like this really ruins the unknown of the game. Now we're getting chased, and we're playing cat and mouse with a nightmare version of Grandma, who, in my opinion, looks far less scarier than the normal-looking Grandma. You have to duck and dodge and hide and run and do all the normal horror game stuff. And there was actually this cool part that I liked. I'll play the scene here. But overall, this second half of the game shows that it's not exactly confident in what type of experience it wants to give the player. It feels like a bait and switch. The first half of the game just played so much differently than what the second half was. In the second half, there's only one way of doing things. When you have a certain way things have to be done and only one way to do them, they aren't actually trying to survive or escape. You're just doing a checklist to get to the next part. Also, another gripe I have with horror games is when you get caught by the monster. This is a really hard one to fix, as there has to be a risk reward to a game. To go deeper on this, let's talk about an example from a different horror game, Five Nights at Freddy's. The first few nights start off easy and tense, and the difficulty starts to really ramp up around night 4. From here on, the game gets much harder, and you're expected to die at least a couple times. So at this point, if you lose the game, which you probably will, you have the jump scare. And once you get jump scared a handful of times, because it gets harder and harder, it starts to lose the fear factor, and it kind of loses the facade of what it's trying to portray. It just feels like a game at this point, which it always was, but it lost the part that's supposed to make it a horror game. Now, you're just overcoming the night from a gameplay standpoint, and not so much one based out of fear and survivability. This happens in the second half of Dread Flats. Once you get caught by Grandma, and if you're me, it was quite a few times, then it stops becoming scary, and it's more tedious than anything. I actually got so fucking frustrated by this part that I almost stopped playing the damn thing altogether. However, I pressed onwards and got to the ending, which it brought back some of the lost tension by looking at these tall gray things. What are these supposed to be? Where the hell do they come from? Are they the missing people? How many missing people were there? At the end of the day, GhostCase made a good horror game. And for being the first game that they made, it's really good, to be honest. There's just a couple things that could be a little bit better, but we're all human. I mean, no one's perfect. Horror games are also one of the easiest yet hardest genres to make, because fear is subjective. What might be scary to me might not be scary to you. And perhaps the game just didn't click with me, like it did so many other people on this platform. I look forward to what GhostCase releases next, and I hope that they can improve on their formula and deliver what might hopefully be the horror game of the year. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around and watching. If you made it this far, drop a like and leave a subscribe, as it helps me grow. The more subscribers I get, the more of these videos I can produce. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always,
see you next time.